Yo, Life is O podcast. I'm your man Graffiti.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's Davey.
How you feeling today, Dave?
I feel great.
Me too, bro. I'm in good spirits today. I got that Mezz in my system.
I'm in excellent spirits as well.
I'm feeling straight. Man. Hey, man, so we got another special guest in the building today. This is crazy, man. We coming with some heavy hitters.
Oh, always.
So this is my man's actual first podcast. So this is history right here. This is hit the berms. We still don't got a sound effect budget, man.
We don't have the soundboard.
We gotta work harder, man. But check it. I got my man Paul from Mezz Brands. Y'all make some noise real quick.
Hey.
How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good. How you guys doing today?
Good. So for the people that don't know, just let them know who you are and what you do.
All right, cool. My name is Paul Saunders. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm the co-founder of Mezz.
Word. So what is Mezz? I know they see it on the table, but they probably like, man, what the hell?
What is that? So Mezz is a cannabis lifestyle company. Essentially, we focus on concentrates and really just bringing a lifestyle and a awareness to cannabis that's through pop culture, through experiences, and through bringing people together through art, music, culture, and just the overall goodness of cannabis.
Word. So the actual name Mezz,
Yeah,
that's unique. Where did that come from?
Yeah, it was crazy. About almost 3 years ago now, I was doing some digging, some researching. Then I was looking at, when did cannabis become illegal in America? Mm-hmm. So I started Googling it and figuring out, okay, around 1937, that's the date that it became illegal. But I was figuring out what terms were used around that time period. And then I was like, what words did they use for cannabis? And I saw this word called Mezz, and I'm like, amongst other things. And I said, oh, it's kind of interesting. But I'm like, well, how did they actually get to that word Mezz? I never heard it before in my life.
Right.
And then when I Googled it in the Callaway's dictionary, Urban Dictionary, Mezz meant, supreme weed. So I was like, oh shit, what's that about? So I started digging even further, and I found out it was based on the story of true life. This guy named Milton Mesro, who was a jazz clarinet player from the Midwest, Chicago to be exact.
Gotcha.
So he was a white jazz musician that played throughout Chicago. But at a certain point in his time, he wanted to move to Harlem to play with Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong, all those jazz greats. So essentially, he moved from Chi to New York, and he moved uptown. So when he was uptown, he started hanging out with all the jazz cats, and he brought his weed from Chicago to New York.
Right.
So when he was in New York, the New York weed was shit like it still is today. So essentially,
shouts to New York,
right, the East Coast. So he started making these Mezz rolls, which is his perfectly rolled joints. He started giving out to musicians. The next thing you know, the musicians was like, damn, where's Mezz at? Because something about Mezz's weed is better than what else I'm getting. So they started saying, where's Mezz? So they started replacing the where's Mezz with I need Mezz.
Yeah.
And they actually started talking about it in songs. You might hear certain terminology like the Vipers and all that slang from the 30s and 40s. That was kind of created around this whole experience about, really people that were consuming cannabis. But then they were playing longer and harder, at the late night jam sessions. So it kind of
enhanced it a little bit.
Kind of enhanced it. So in terms of bridging, art and music, I feel during that time period, cannabis was used as a tool to one unwind, but two to tune in and dial into the experience, to the improvisation with jazz and going deeper and harder and stronger.
Right.
So so that's really I said, look, this word has some meaning. I'm also from New York, from Brooklyn, which is a little away from Harlem, but it felt like it was something that was true. But then when I started digging deeper, there was so many other stories that Milton did. He actually went to jail for cannabis.
Oh, word.
And when he was in jail, he actually wrote to different, legislative people about, I shouldn't be in jail, incarcerated because you're still testing cannabis on other patients in medical conditions.
Right.
So why, if you're testing, why am I in jail for something that you're testing with? So literally, he was an advocate and also a fighter. So that all kind of felt was something I felt was good for a DNA of a brand, and that was the inspiration of creating Mezz.
Word.
So
that's real life research. You know what I'm saying? Most people just think of a name oh yeah, that's fire. Let's run with it. But that's a dope meaning.
Yeah. No, I think something has to have meaning, and I come from the world of marketing and branding.
Yeah.
Starting out from when I was young, throwing events. Then I worked for ad agencies when I was out of college. And I actually started out working with tobacco companies and alcohol companies. So I kind of went through the whole sin business. So that's what's kind of brought me to Mezz, where we are today.
Word.
Okay. So are there any other ventures that you tried to do before Mezz, or was this like the first one that you just immediately gravitated towards? Or
Yeah, no, I've been a serial entrepreneur. I mean, I started from when I was in grade school selling M&Ms to kids in my class.
oh wow,
And like in New York, we used to have like, outlets were in New York City, so you have to go to like Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. Well, Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania, but
Right.
Philly to go to outlets to get cheaper clothes. So I used to plan bus rides for like my peers to like
Right.
get on the bus,
Yeah.
go to the outlets and go shopping. So like that ticket fee was like my shopping money. You know what I'm saying? So like from that, and then like throwing events, and then like when I was in college, I used to sell like vintage clothing in college, and like I used to be a music major, and my friends were all musicians. So like for like Valentine's Day, we would like sell like serenades. Like I'll get my boys like, for $5 you get like a 2-song serenade, or like $10 you get like a whole trio show up. So I used to always kind of
wow.
like figure out ways to like do things.
so just that hustler spirit.
Yeah, just hustling. And then in college, actually my senior year of college at Hampton, I left the School of Music to become a business major. So I graduated with a degree in entrepreneurial studies.
Right.
And that's kind of like what led to like my first business. Like day after college, I just started a company that the next day, like as soon as I graduated, I never looked for a job. The next day I went to New York and started a company called 24 Hour MC, which was like a telephony service. So like, before the internet was popping and you had the bandwidth,
Yeah.
you had to like use your telephone to like figure out things. So like it was a hip hop service. So like literally we had exclusive freestyles from different artists like Memphis Bleak or like Eminem.
Word.
So like we had it all loaded into the system. So you call up to like press 1 to listen to Eminem, press 2 for Memphis Bleak, press
That's
3
crazy.
for. So like that was my first venture out of college.
Yeah.
That we launched in New York. So I've just been a serial entrepreneur since then.
So how do people back home? How do they feel about you being in the cannabis industry, especially with it being legal here, especially recreationally, and then back home it's still like they're really cracking down on it.
Yeah, I mean the hardest thing was to tell my parents because like I mean I was never like I've always been a relaxed person, so I've never been like a consumer. And like I've grown up around it. I've friends I've smoked through college. I mean like everything, but I just never really dialed into it because I always felt like I was already relaxed.
Yeah.
So like telling my parents what I was doing, it took me like about a good like 9 months. I was telling them like, I was doing research and I'm flying back and forth and I'm doing this in Denver. And then, my uncle was diagnosed with cancer. So that's when I started kind of like bringing it more to the forefront. Like, look, there's some alternative methods to help with, pain relief and pain management.
Right.
So I kind of like, segued that in with my uncle's health condition in terms of talking to my family more about my involvement in cannabis.
Word. That's interesting too, man, because it's such a stigma with cannabis and marijuana. Just, people think in Denver it's a little different. It is what it is out here. But around the world, they hear smokers and they're like, "Oh man, you probably dirty with dreads and don't get anything accomplished." But there's so many other benefits around it. Was that something you guys factored in once you got into Mezz, or I guess kind of what was the focus with Mezz Brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I travel a lot all around the world and have some crazy stories. But all the people that I know that consume are not like the stereotypes that's been glorified, in media or through, the news or whatever. Like, that whole movie Reefer Madness. And then once you just start understanding, like, the trickery that's been, played with cannabis and incarceration, there's so many, like, layers to cannabis in terms of why it became illegal. Once you like do that history, and I encourage everyone to do a deep dive because it's like literally layered with like so much shit that you like. How did it go on for so long?
Right, and I think especially like to demonize it, you first have to paint a picture of what does the average
consumer
weed smoker
look like,
or cannabis user look like,
Yeah.
and then once you paint that picture of it's like it's criminals or it's it's just like a monstrous figure when really it's like it's a regular person.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
it's
probably your grandma or somebody really.
Right.
Seriously.
And now you have all these articles coming out. Like I just saw a post about the ex-New York City mayor Bloomberg. I mean, you see all these people that have been consuming probably throughout their life, or like you remember when Obama said he consumed, and then Bill Clinton. I mean, people have been coming out along all the time.
Yeah.
But literally, like it's it's coming to the forefront more and more each day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, but the people that I know and the people that I see all around the world, I mean, they're definitely not couch locked. They're definitely not lazy.
Right.
They're very, they're doing things. They're progressive. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of, entrepreneurs, business owners, a lot of high-power executives, CEOs, and, students, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I know people that, have been consuming for a while and they continue to do so. And they are really going against the entire, stigma and belief of cannabis as a lazy recreational activity.
Right.
How important is it to be a black cannabis brand owner? Because when we see like the war on drugs, like it's completely destroyed urban communities, and then once it's become legal and recreational, we've seen like a lot of white people really eating off of like dispensaries and vape companies and cannabis companies, and now we're it seems like as a culture we're now catching up to the legal aspect of it.
Right. I think there's still so much to catch up with. Like, for instance, there's this convention in Vegas, which is the biggest cannabis convention in America. Mm-hmm. They had about 18,000 people there in Vegas in November. And actually, Mezz, we sponsored two of the biggest events, of that entire, conference. But I didn't see too many people like us at that conference. And I'm like, it's 18,000 people here. Where the rest of my people's at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, but I do feel like there's a point and purpose of actually just being present, because literally if you can be there and be accounted for, at least there's representation that we can influence more people to join. I tell all my friends, there's so many jobs available in the cannabis industry. You think it's about one thing, but no, there's accounting jobs, there's transport jobs, logistic jobs, security jobs, and then there's a need for talent.
Right.
So, like, I tell all the young people, I'm like, look, please look at this industry, because literally it can't even fill all the jobs.
Right.
It's insane.
It's a fact, man. So kind of getting into the actual Mezz product, I'm kind of like you as in terms of I'm already kind of just a laid back person. So, like consuming like that, it's like, whatever, every now and again. But I don't physically like the process of smoking. You know what I mean? Like the smoke itself, like I don't like that. But like with like the disposable pens, like this is dope to me. Like you just hit a pull, it got a flavor, like it's dope. And plus it just looks sexy. Y'all see that? It just looks sexy. But it brings me to my question, kind of just the overall formula and how, for one, why you decided to go the vape route versus just a dispensary or like a strain, and kind of just the overall formula and flavors of Mezz Brand.
So, I mean, I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's like your life is based on, like, it's compounded on your experiences in the past. Like, when I worked for those ad agencies and, like, working with, like, R.J. Reynolds and, like, and some of their tobacco brands, I kind of saw, like, how their products were, organized and branded, and I kind of, like, studied it for years. And I still do study it to this day. But the biggest thing about it was that I'm all about convenience, and I think people are about convenience. The same way you have a microwave in your house, same way you take an airplane, same way you got a smart car or a smartphone. Right. It's like if you can, eliminate a few steps and make it more convenient, then there's an opportunity and an avenue. And so that was one of the things at first was like, well, the first thing that we wanted to get right was like the branding and like the way that it came across. So, we had like one of the top firms like try to design the whole Mezz thing, and I'm like, this wasn't it. So I got one of my boys from they used to design for like R55, Azore, Echo, Sean John, and we actually sat down and like figured out the whole brand Bible. One of my boys from Queens and that I've known for years, and we literally like went head to head with this big design firm and like smashed them. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing was that we wanted to talk about, when you asked the question about in terms of between flower or vapes, nothing against flower. I just felt like with vape, you had an opportunity to create a consistent product that can be replicated and duplicated so people could share the same experience. Right. So I felt that was the difference between vape or flower. Right. It's like, and then you look at different brands and products, whether it's like Ciroc, they have the Ciroc, product, the vodka, but then you have, the red berry, you have the coconut, and that flavor tastes the same with every experience. Right. So it's like, how can we create, an experience that can be duplicated, that people could, if you give it to your friend and that blueberry or mellow was the same then, it'll be the same for your next friend. So you can pretty much transfer the experience. Right.
No, that makes sense for sure. So, all right, we got it on the table lined up.
Yeah.
What we got?
Let's kind of break it down. So we got the blue is mellow, green is inspired, red is up tempo, and then gold is just gold.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So the cool thing about it was like, everyone focuses on strains, and then I've never really been about strains, and my partner as well, Aaron. Essentially, we figured out, look, let's create moods. And there are some moods out there, but we were like, let's make it make sense to people. Like, if you don't understand a strain or understand what sativa or indica is, and you forget, because some people always forget, like, which one is sativa, which one is indica, or what's this, what's that. I just want to simplify it, and then we wanted to create the names that kind of resonated with, like, music, like, mellow vibes. So, like, you might have a down-tempo playlist, or up-tempo playlist, and you can kind of, if you want to, like, relax and chill
B-sides of the
on a Sunday, or, after work, you might hit the mellow mix when you just want to unwind.
Yeah.
So that's why we call it mellow. So literally, the mellow, and we broke it down into the strength. We started from low to high. So the mellow is essentially mellow. It's like starts with 50% THC, which has a blueberry flavor note. And then we literally walked the way up, so you can figure out which is best for you. Just like alcohol, if you want something that was 40 proof, 60 proof, you kind of understand, the levels. So we just started with low and went high, from mellow, which is 50% THC, to inspire, which is experiment flavor note, which is 60. The up tempo is a little higher than the gold. It's just like straight 90%, like uncut,
90%.
Damn.
Yeah. So like people that really just want to go straight to it, or the dabbers, or people that just may have a hard time sleeping, that just want to knock out at night.
Yeah.
Just go straight to the gold.
Right.
Yeah, I remember last week I was having a little bit of a difficult time sleeping in. Yeah, the gold works. We'll just say that.
Right.
He was asleep for the whole day.
Right, the gold works.
Yeah, definitely.
I like to inspire. I'm a designer, so kind of when I want to just get in my design mode and just chill, turn on some music, hit that inspire real quick, and be cooling out. I like the way y'all did that, man, because like people do get confused with the sativas and indicas, and then there's so many different strains. It's like, bruh, what are y'all doing? So that's dope.
Yeah, it was crazy because I was having a conversation with DJ Infamous, which is Luda's DJ.
Yep.
At the show yesterday, we kind of broke it all down. And they were like, oh, shit, yeah, it makes sense. Because, like, sometimes you don't remember the strains, you don't know what the properties are.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, literally just dialing it in to just say, okay, this is the effect, the desired effect.
Right.
And you can just pretty much pick what's your desired effect. And I think that's what people can, understand, resonate with, and it kind of, like, takes the guesswork out of it.
Right.
So a simplified approach to it.
Word. From a marketing standpoint, what has been some of the biggest challenges of actually getting the Mezz brand out there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that.
I felt like that was a Dave question.
That was a Dave question, bro.
Yeah, so our goal was to create a national and international company. And that's why we went with the whole Mezz Brands concept and idea. Was not just to have something that was local, something that we can do across the nation with legal markets. So essentially, we've had a couple of hiccups, but I really don't see those as obstacles. I see it as like these are great challenges that allows us to, sharpen our sword, be better, and get more dialed into, markets and activities. So for instance, like my background is in experiential marketing, and then like the good thing about how life comes full circle, learning tobacco laws from back in the days, I understood those agreements.
Right.
And understood the do's and don'ts of what you couldn't do in tobacco. So I kind of already knew what our limits would be coming to cannabis. It would be fairly around the same. And so I really figured that, look, experiential is the way to go, because at the end of the day, it's about, trials and tribulations and your personal experiences with a product or brand, or how to create affinity, or how do you change someone's consumption methods. If someone's normally used to rolling, it has to be something that they deem is worthy of them trying to change something they've done in the past. Right? And it has to look, feel, taste of something that they can consider doing, and I always make the comparison to alcohol, because there's certain flavors in alcohol that you like, okay, let me try that because I'm curious about that. It makes sense. And if the proper pairing, in your mind, it might make, for instance, a coconut drink. Okay, I can figure out coconut because coconut might be good with pineapple. And on a sunny summer day, I can rock with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, getting into the process of someone's, thought patterns and taste palettes and all that stuff, and just kind of understanding what you think that people would like or be willing to try.
Yeah.
Or make them curious to try.
Right.
Word. Well, we're definitely not going to let you skip over some of these crazy stories that you had brought up.
Okay.
So what are some of the, so you've traveled the world.
Yeah.
What are some of like the craziest things that you've seen just throughout this whole experience?
Through the Mezz experience, or that's my traveling experience?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to some crazy places. I've been to like Iraq. I've been to like Egypt.
What was Iraq like?
Iraq was interesting. It was an interesting time because I was managing a band at that time. We did a tour for the USO, and then I wanted to provide some musical relief since I had friends that were serving. I lived in Norfolk, Virginia at the time, which is like a very big military region. So I wrote a letter to the USO like, look, I want to perform for you guys and do some shows. So
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm gonna go to Hawaii or like Japan or something cool. And it's like, yeah, do you want to go to Southeast Asia? And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm down. And so we went to the whole meeting and like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I'm down. Then the next thing you know, he sends me an email and it's literally like Iraq, Kuwait, like Qatar, these places. I'm like, yo, that's not what I thought.
Yeah.
So I had to convince the whole group to all right, yeah, we're gonna go perform in Iraq, and this was 2007.
Yeah.
So this was still
it was true smoke
season.
Yeah.
It's true. It's real out there. So
yeah.
So I remember going out there to Kuwait, and then we flew on helicopters from base to base in Iraq. So we used to be on these literally like those helicopters that you see in all the movies.
Yeah.
The dudes out the side of the guns, and we got bulletproof vests, flying low to the ground because when you fly in helicopters over hostile territory, the lower you fly, the harder it is for them to shoot the plane down.
Okay.
So literally flying over people's heads, and you're seeing people on the ground, you're seeing animals, you're seeing everything. You're like, wow, I'm literally 100 feet above. And just being nerve wracking because you just never know what's happening. So they give you these bulletproof vests, but I'm like, if you got a bulletproof vest on and they're shooting up, they're gonna hit you in your nuts.
Right.
So I was like, I need a
every nigga's first thought. I'm gonna get shot in my nuts.
So I need a vest for underneath me. So I was like, yo, I'm sitting on my vest, and I'm going through that whole experience. So that was crazy. But the craziest thing about that whole trip is we did 3 or 4 bases in Iraq, but we got to Camp Victory, and I didn't know that there was a lot of coalition forces. There was the Australians and then the Ugandan army and mad militaries there. So we did this one show, literally it felt like the UN, performing next to the prison where they keep all the people that they captured in Iraq, and we're performing maybe 50 feet from them.
Yeah.
And then we have all these soldiers partying with us, and then the prisoners are partying in the jail with the music and everything. They're going crazy. The soldiers are going crazy. There was this stage dive. This was a crazy experience. So that was probably one of the craziest experiences.
Wow, man, that's dope.
Doing that and being over there. But I mean, travel is something that I do a lot of, and I think that's also what helps with. Probably one of the reasons why I got into Mezz is another time I was in Dubai, and one of my
flex on them.
Yeah, this is a good place to be, man.
Yeah.
So I was in Dubai, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, man, can you look for an investment in cannabis for me?" And I was like, "What? Oh, you're in Dubai talking about cannabis?"
Yeah, because it's illegal out there, right?
It's illegal.
Yeah.
So literally, the next month, I flew out to Colorado, and I was like, "I'm gonna just come out here and just try to figure something out."
Right. About to flip something.
Yeah. So that's really what sparked my interest in cannabis.
Word. Man, that's crazy. So with all those experiences and then just the brand and your background, the way Mezz is moving right now, and I'm not just saying that because we're brand ambassadors, but
hey,
it's becoming one of those brands that is definitely not even becoming. It is one of those brands that is definitely just about the lifestyle. You might see a Mezz hat, or you see the logo on something, or you see you at a party, and you don't even necessarily know what the product is.
Right.
But the brand looks cool. Was that the intent from the beginning?
From one was the logo was so important to me.
Yeah.
And the way that it make you feel, because it had to be something that people felt comfortable with wearing, and that's what I saw when I came to the marketplace. I saw names Smoke This or Roll That or
yeah,
everything was red, yellow, and green, and Like I felt like there had to be something that people could actually feel good about consuming and rocking. You know what I'm saying? And it had to be simplified. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at some examples, like I looked at stuff from like Porsche to Mont Blanc to like, you know, to the Plains logo. I mean, I looked at all those different, you know, iconic, you know, the Maybachs, all those iconic like brands.
Right.
And I'm like, what's their symbol or their statement piece? And I wanted to create something that I felt like, you know, from a marketing perspective, that looked great on a shirt, a hat, a product, but also like on a wall.
Right.
So like if you projected the image on like a big ass wall, the logo has to be so clean and crisp that it's instantly recognizable.
Nice and symmetrical, yeah.
Right. And then, you know, we wanted to create like the whole feeling with like third eye and like the way that the Mezz moves. It's like it's a foundation, it's a pyramid, and there's so many things that relates to the pyramid and the third eye in cannabis in terms of unlocking certain things and just bringing people together. It had to encompass all that stuff.
Right.
So that's how we developed it. It was just really like a true desire to be an inclusive, you know, icon, but also making it iconic, but also making it that you can be anywhere in the world and say, okay, I can remember this, I can see it, but also feel like, you know, it speaks to me in some way.
Right.
And so those are all the things that we were considering when I was designing with me and my homie when we went against the big firm. And came with it, man.
Nah, y'all pulled it off.
So what can we expect from the future of Mezz Brands?
Man, you can expect some really cool shit, man. Like we've been blessed to like really integrate with a lot of like, you know, dope artists, from people like you guys, but also like, for sure. It's been all love, but also a lot of celebrities have been embracing us and have been like really open to, you know, rocking with us on the products, chasing it, trying it. We've done some really cool things, like for instance, like New Year's Eve when, you know, cannabis recreation became legal in California. We did a special like, you know, gifting and art dedication of Dave Chappelle and at the Dave Chappelle John Mayer show January 1st. So things like that, and let's like being with, you know, different people, and people are very just curious about it. Like I remember speaking to Janae Aiko about it, and she's like mad into it. So like people have been very like open with us. So I think you will see some really cool, you know, collabs, but also experiences, but also, you know, the dirty side, like, you know, us engaging about, look, you know, decriminalization, you know what I'm saying? How can we, you know, or how can we get more people involved in the business aspect of it? Because I want to tell everybody, open it up to everyone. Like, look, there's so much opportunity out here. I know what you're going to in your career fairs, but I'm down to like go to different schools, universities, and tell them like, look, there's a lot of opportunity out here, and it's not what you think. Right. And I understand what has been told to us, but look, this industry is going to be just as big as the internet. Mm-hmm. You know, probably bigger at a global level. This is industries like this don't come along for like decades. You know what I'm saying? Right. So this is a behemoth that's about to happen, and if we don't really get deeply rooted in it, we're gonna miss the ball.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, and that's for all entrepreneurs. I mean, there's so many opportunities, and this is like the equivalent of being at dial-up right now. AOL dial-up. This is where we're at in the cannabis space. I feel. I feel we didn't even get to the.
It's like the gold rush.
Right.
And you see it. I mean, people come to, you know, Denver all the time. And
I know, it's
you're
crazy.
Meeting a new brand every day.
Everybody was asleep on Denver, and now it's like,
we
cracking out here.
Yeah.
Man, kind of rewind, because I wanted to ask you this, and then you brought it up, and it reminded me. Before I even knew what Mezz was, I remember being at Red Rocks at Dave Chappelle, and I seen the branding all over everything, his DJ and everything. I'm like, man, what is that? Like, I was trying to look it up. Like, man, I was typing like M Mountain logo. Like, I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? So, and then I started seeing it more and more, and it was mostly associated through whatever Dave Chappelle had going on. So I'm like, what's the relationship with Mezz and Dave Chappelle? So what is it?
Yeah, well, shout out to DJ Trauma, which is his DJ.
Okay.
You know? But really, it's just like friends supporting friends.
Yeah.
I didn't really know Dave prior to Trauma, but Trauma's been like real cool, like been supportive. Like we had the shirts and the hats. He's like, I'm rocking with y'all. Like, it's all about networks and experiences, and then, you know, having those conversations with Dave and talking about the product, and just, you know, him, you know, seeing it through a trusted source, which is Trauma, you know, validating us. You know, so I think it's based on those life experiences and being, you know, being a reliable person that, you know, I'm not out to get anybody. I'm not about to pull any wool over anybody's head or nothing like that.
Right.
I'm just about, all right, how can we do things that make sense, that's cool? You know, we're young entrepreneurs. You know, we're trying to take a different approach. and we need help. And more than help, we need advice, and we're willing to listen. And I'm not trying to come in here and just try to say I can run over, Denver. Doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, people like Francois just talk to him at first. It's kind of like, how can we break bread? How can we work together? Not trying to come into, like, some companies just come into a market and just try to take
like hostile takeover.
And it's not about that. It's about how can we integrate? How can we grow? What can we help out with? How can we organically build something that can make sense for everyone? And I think that's the authentic approach. Not even an authentic approach. I think this is just being a good, citizen.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and that gets so lost in business.
Anytime you go over someone's house, it's like, hey, what should I bring?
Yeah.
You need help with the dishes, or
Isn't that crazy though? Like it's crazy how lost that is, especially in the culture, like where when you're just a genuine good person or you just do a good deed and people look at you crazy like, oh man, what you after?
Right.
I mean, by just doing good business. Cause when we all first met, like just the whole process of meeting with Mezz and then the way business was handled after that, I'm like, man, this is like dope. At first I was kind of weary because I'm like, I ain't never had an experience where it was just all love. Like, you know what I mean? Business just kind of come at you and it's like, this is that. Boom. But like ever since then, it's been like family. So I think that's a good core premise to have in your business. It's just being genuine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just who I am. Just growing up, just navigating through Brooklyn, through the streets, and like high school, college, from beyond. It's just like it's all been about, and then even moving to different countries. Like you just understand like the way you move to different countries and survive, and people don't understand the languages. It's like, just being genuine. I'm not trying to rob, steal, take. I'm just, I'm just trying to just kick it, have a good time. You know what I'm saying? With no like, I'm not in it for an ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying? If something comes out of it, that's cool. But if not, that's cool too.
Word.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what have you learned from your experiences, just from traveling the world, from doing business with just different people, different companies? Like what's like the core principle that it's taught you?
Man, you know what? I say the first thing is like when people invite you to like come visit them, go.
Yeah.
A lot of people get invites and never go anywhere.
That's
right. That's to me, that's the biggest
thing.
I felt that.
I felt that.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, like literally, like homies were like, "Yo, why don't you come out?" Like I had a homie in Malta, which is a little small island like near Gibraltar. He was like, "Yo, come over, and just come kick it." And I was like in Paris. I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna come over there for like a day or two." Went out there for like 3 days, had a great time. But that's the homie for life. He's like, "You actually came and visited me. Like I gave out mad invites to people.
Yeah,
wow. And like." You know what I'm saying? I'm on this little small island that was turned up. The island was so lit. Like, So it's like those experiences. And it's not just about like flexing or bread. It's just about this, coming through. Somebody invites you like down the block, you know what I'm saying? Go down the block. Or like even like people around my way. Like they'll see me like, I still live in my same neighborhood a few blocks away from my original crib. But like, I'm driving by, like dudes on the street would stop me like, yo, what are you doing? What's going on? I see you doing this. Or like, they'll hear about me doing X, Y, Z or the other. So I'm like, yo, let's just go to the coffee shop and just chop it up real quick, and just, figure some things out.
Yeah.
So, that's just how I roll,
Right.
That's real, because especially with me, like, and probably even graffiti too, like, I'm such a homebody, and I'm such like a person that's just off to myself. But I think since we've done, or at least started the podcast, like we have been getting like just invite certain places, and I felt more of a conviction about going. So if I'm just like, oh man, this is going on tonight, or I was invited to this, I'm like, all right, let me just show up, even if it's like 10 minutes, 15
and then every time we do, something happens. We show up, make a new relationship, or something comes from that. So that's real.
The biggest thing is showing up. Like last week, I was in LA, then Denver, then Austin for a show, then from Austin back to New York, then from New York to Miami. But all like literally like people invited me out, and I was like, yo, I gotta show up because I made these, I said I was coming, and I had to go.
Right.
And it's just all, I mean, it's tiring a lot, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it might not be always financially feasible. But if you can do it and you can do it, definitely won't go unnoticed,
Right. Cool. So I got one last question for you. We're gonna wrap it up. We appreciate your time. So there's somebody watching this right now like, oh man, I've been wanting to get into the cannabis industry, but I don't know how to tell my parents, or I don't really know where to start. What would be that one piece of advice that you would give them?
I'd say go ahead and do it, man. Like, But, you got to be strategic. I think with business, some people don't do, the research, but also, like, you got to believe in yourself and then try to figure out a niche. But if you don't have the niche, go ahead and help somebody out or work with someone that's already doing what you think you want to do. So you can learn all that without costing you nothing but your time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, literally, like, someone always needs help. And someone always, can teach, or someone's always ready to learn, so you can really just engage yourself, go out, find someone that's doing it. If you want to do, like, marketing and branding, just help out a brand that you might like. Like, I remember my first jobs, like, when I used to want to be in the music industry, we used to, like, go to record labels and be like, yo, I'll help out for free.
Yeah.
Like, or in the studio, I'm like, all right, you need me to vacuum this carpet? That's cool, I'll vacuum the carpet. But after the carpet, I'm going to sit down and just look at you, hit the knobs and see what's going where, what's going there. It's just a little about learning. And then, like, I started, like, seeing that from a lot of different, icons. Like, their capacity for learning is huge. Like you're going to be seeing, like, pictures of Mike just sitting by the keyboard with Stevie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's checking it out or watching shows or, like, the studying, constantly studying. And, like, that's the biggest thing. Is just, like, who can you learn from that's willing to teach you or willing to give you those opportunities? Let's take the chance, man.
Right.
But yeah, let's do it. Cannabis, this is...
It's the move.
this is history in the making.
Yeah.
Seriously, be a part of history. And that's actually one of the reasons why I got into it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, and you asked me this question about how did you, I think one of the first questions was like, what made you get into the industry?
Right.
And I kind of got burnt out of, like, the whole corporate thing because I just felt like they kind of have their ways of, I mean, it could be hostile in the corporate America. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'd rather avoid a lot of this hostility. You know what I'm saying? If I can. But I made a promise to myself. I was like, I'm not going to get involved in anything else unless I had the opportunity to make history.
Right.
And I felt like this was the opportunity to make history and to create something that can leave a legacy, but also open the doors for other people from different backgrounds, different countries, but also provide relief because you hear about how the plant has helped so many people. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's checked all the boxes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? With something that felt that was worthy of giving, you know what I'm saying, your life to. You know what I'm saying? And giving, your creative juices and sacrifices towards. And that's what I wanted to do. Find something that I felt comfortable in doing that with.
I really want to emphasize something that you had touched on. So you would go to the record labels and say, hey, can I just vacuum? Can I just
help?
I'll help do stuff for free.
Yeah.
And I think in this society, or at least in this current age, like, people, and not to sound like an old head, but there's so much self-entitlement that, like, when people approach certain businesses and entities, they already want to be doing what it is that they want to do by the time that they approach it. So when they show up to a record label, they're like, hey, I'm the hottest thing out.
Right.
Play my music.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about getting a foot in the door. They think, play my music is the foot in the door. They're not thinking, hey, how can I help you? What do you need help with? So I think that's just something that I just wanted to just give more emphasis to.
Yeah.
That's
it's important. But it shows, like, your determination. Because, like, literally when I did that, I had a whole list. I had, like, a list of 20. And that day I went to literally 20 places all throughout the city. And no one hired me. And I got to the last person. I got there, like, at 7 at night. And I was like, look, here's my resume. I want to work. I want to do this or that. He's like, can you vacuum? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, come back in 2 hours and start tonight. But it was literally on that 20th spot I went to for that day is when that opportunity happened.
Most people would have stopped on the 15th.
Right. And it was hot as hell that day, too. It was hot. I had on a suit, walking through the city. It was crazy, man.
And people would have been like, vacuum? No, I ain't trying to do this. That's lame. That's corny. But it's like, being in proximity of just what you want to do is so valuable.
Yeah.
Facts. That's why we do this show, man.
Hey, straight up.
Right.
So as far as social media, how can people connect with you? How can they find you? How can they follow you?
Yeah, follow us at Mezz Brands, MEZZBRANDS. And everything is Mezz Brands. So MezzBrands.com, at Mezz Brands, info at Mezz Brands, all that stuff. So we encourage everyone to follow us to see what we're doing and give us some advice, you know what I'm saying? Or if you want to help out, just definitely, hit us up, holler at us, and we can, share and engage and figure out what's the next steps of cannabis.
Word. And if you are consuming Mezz or you're at a Mezz event, make sure you hit that hashtag MezzLife.
For sure.
And be 21 and up.
Yeah, right. No stems, no seeds.
And consume responsibly.
Yeah. Come to Denver. Come hang out with us. We got some cool events happening.
Yeah, come hang out, but don't move because the traffic crazy. But come kick it in Denver, man. All right, man. Let's make some noise, for my man Paul.
Hey, thank you.
And listeners, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Check us out on Instagram. It's Life is Dope.
At Life is Dope.
That's right. What else? Oh, Life is Dope.
Shop. Grab some
gear,
man.
Get some fresh swag.
Gear is dope. I like the gear.
Right.
I need to grab a shirt today.
Definitely.
Super lit.
Yeah, man. So
we paid all our bills.
I think we good. Life is Dope podcast. I'm Graffiti.
And I'm Davey.
Skirt.
We out.
Peace.